Conservative New Media viewers, we're here to talk about comments and questions that you guys left in the comments video number 2 and the game 57 and game number 58 videos. Those games were against the Brooklyn Nets and the Washington Wizards. Now, I'm feeling better today after the disappointment of the game 58 loss to the Wizards. I'm still confident Houston will make the playoffs, and I am looking forward to seeing what the team is going to look like with the new guys from Sacramento, and with everybody healthy, which means sick Jeremy Lin and injured Greg Smith. Just before I forget it, too, Houston was going to sign, I can't remember the guy's name, a center from their D-League team. I believe he's a European guy, and my guess is that they're signing him because of the injury to Greg Smith. They don't really have another backup center, so you need somebody. So if Greg Smith is going to miss any amount of time, and I don't know the latest on that, then you're going to have somebody else. Now, it could just be they want to call the guy up because he's ready, but my guess is that it's because of Greg Smith's knee injury. Hopefully Greg can come back quickly. As we've been talking about, the Los Angeles Lakers are on the move. They've been playing really well. They've won 11 of their last 15 games, and they seem to be playing even better since the sad passing of Dr. Jerry Buss, the longtime owner of the Lakers. So the Lakers seem motivated. Now they have a cause that they're playing for now. So as we said, Houston needs to match that. They need to dig in and continue to win. They are right now 2.5 games ahead of the Los Angeles Lakers. So we've got about 25 games left in the season. So there's plenty of time, and Houston needs to continue to win. Hopefully they will win this upcoming Wednesday against the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay, let's get to the comments. Pretty much I'm answering these comments in the order that they appear. What I do is I go to the comment section of the videos, and I just start from the bottom because the bottom are like the oldest comments, and then I just go right up to the top, and I just try to go through each one and answer it. So I am pretty much answering these in the order in which they appeared in the videos, and in the video description, I list everybody whose comment will be responded to here. And there are duplicates, like I might answer several comments from one person, but if you read down that list, that's the order in which I'm going to do different comments or respond to different people, at least for the first time. Again, I might respond to somebody several times, but for the first time that I'm going to respond to somebody, that list is what you'll see in the video description. Okay, here's a couple comments that came from the comments number 2 video. First one is from omgbygollywow. He asked, who is comparable to Thomas Robinson, the new power forward that Houston got in the trade? And I want to say the trade is actually completed. I said in the last video, there was like a little holdup, like Patrick Patterson's foot or something like this, and they weren't sure about it. Well, now it's finally done. It's actually completed. So those guys are with the team, except Tyler Honeycutt, I believe, was sent down to the D-League. Thomas Robinson and Francisco Garcia are with the team, and they're practicing. Actually saw pictures of Thomas Robinson practicing today, so that's good. Now, back to the question, who is comparable to Thomas Robinson? Look, it's a good question. I've seen Robinson play like twice. I haven't seen him play enough to really make a good comparison. However, I know that he has been compared to Reggie Evans, the starting power forward for the Nets, and he's been compared to Al Horford, starting power forward / center for the Atlanta Hawks. Both of those guys are really good rebounders. And Thomas Robinson is also an excellent rebounder. The difference between Reggie Evans and Al Horford is how much offensive skill and athletic ability those two players have. I think Thomas Robinson is going to end up more like Al Horford than he will like Reggie Evans. Look, Reggie Evans is a great guy to have on your team. He's tough, and he can rebound everything. Al Horford's better than that. He's even better than that. So I think Thomas Robinson will be more like Al Horford. Is he going to be as good as Al Horford? I don't know about that. Maybe. I think he's a little bit shorter than Al Horford, maybe a little bit smaller. Al Horford's a big guy, about 250. Thomas Robinson's about, with the shoes off, he's about 6'8". So he's about, with the shoes on, he's about 6'9", 240, which is pretty big. And he is very athletic. If you go and look at highlight videos of him, a lot of dunks. He has very long arms for his height. I think he's going to work out well. I do. I think he's going to be a very good player, and really help Houston. Hopefully that'll happen quicker, because Houston needs that from the power forward spot for the rest of this year. That's the one void or weakness on the team, as it has been for a while. Okay, lennyphuquoc from Vietnam. Hey, man, look, I'm happy to give you a shout-out. Great to have you on board, and thanks for watching the videos. Yeah, look, the Wizards game was a tough loss. There's no question about it. It's hard to feel too bad. They won 2 good games in a row against Oklahoma City and at Brooklyn. It just was a letdown because you thought that the Wizards game would be the easiest one. But sometimes those are the games you lose. And in between Jeremy being sick and the guys in the trade not being able to play, I just didn't have quite enough. And look, as I've said before, Washington has beaten a lot of good teams this year. So, it can happen, and it happened, unfortunately. APC GAM 24, great stuff on the college issue, man. Sounds like you made a good choice by passing up the quote-unquote top schools for a less expensive alternative. Look, as I said before, I think that's the way to go. And I know some other people have done the same thing, and it's worked out well for them. So I would definitely recommend that move. Oh, good job. I agree. Jeremy is very humble, and that is a big part of his appeal. He doesn't seem like he has a big ego. Look, everybody that plays in the NBA, you have to feel good about yourself and feel like you can do it. But he just seems like a humble dude, and somebody that is real and not kind of stuck with kind of in a bubble, like with him and his entourage and stuff, where it's easy to be disconnected from the real world sometimes when you become a really big star. So, and Jeremy's doesn't seem like that, and I think that is a big part of his appeal. I think the reason why people hate on Jeremy is because, one, he's kind of a pioneer, as we've talked about before, and because he's so popular. It's almost like what you saw with Tim Tebow. Oh, he shouldn't be so popular. Charles Barkley, I'm tired of Tim Tebow. So people think he's more popular than he is good. And there's some truth to that, but it's a different situation. I think because of Jeremy, his coming from the Ivy League and the underdog story, being of Asian descent, it's a unique story. And as we all know, Jeremy never asked for the attention. He didn't seek this out. But that doesn't mean that haters aren't going to hate. That's why they're haters, right? So it is kind of sad, but the truth is that Jeremy is going to help make the NBA more popular around the world. And he's also going to help other players in the NBA earn bigger salaries because he's going to help bring in more revenue for the league. So what's kind of ironic is that the hate towards him is self-defeating. It's like if I was an NBA player, I mean, I'd be rolling out the red carpet for this guy. I mean, and I'd be welcoming him. Why? Because he's going to make me money. I mean, so, you know, it's almost like, you know, it's almost like dissing the golden goose that's laying the golden eggs. I mean, well, why would you do that? But look, it happens. It's something you see in all walks of life. Jeremy's going to be fine. He gets it. He understands it. And he is grounded. And that's good. Yeah. I was annoyed yesterday when I was reading through Clutch Fans, and there was a thread on there, and they were talking about this whole thing with McHale on the quote. We'll get to that. And I saw some of the other longtime members, and I've been a member of that site since like '99, when I believe that Clutch, who runs the site, changed it from one site to another site. So I've been on that site since the beginning. And I saw some of these other longtime members from like, 99, 2000, and they were dissing Lin. And it was so silly what they were saying that I just had to answer some stuff. So I wrote a couple of responses using my Phi Slamma account. So if you guys want to check them out, there are 3 responses. I will put links to them in the video description below the video player so that you can check them out. And I think you'll like them. I think you'll get a kick out of them because it just, what was being said didn't make any sense. Like, I try to keep things very logical, rational, and what was being said to me there was no logic to it. It just didn't make any sense. So I just felt like I had to say something. So I did that. And as I said, I think you guys will enjoy checking those out if you want. Okay, going to the Game 57 video, the Brooklyn Nets video, the post-game video. X1997 X-Camper. I like James Harden. I love James Harden. As I've said before about these particular videos, these are more about Jeremy. These are more geared. It's like looking at the game through Jeremy's eyes. And the videos are made more for his fans. Now, again, I love James Harden, but these videos are made for fans of Jeremy and people that want to talk about Jeremy. That's no disrespect to James Harden or anybody on the team. It's just that's more of kind of what they're geared for. And the reason why that is because we started covering Jeremy last year. So I just kept it going, and that's kind of where we're at. Zhang Frank 2011, it is tough when other teams in the playoff chase against Houston don't lose. There's no doubt about that. I mean, if you're a Houston fan, it's been pretty annoying that the Lakers keep winning. So there's no question about that. Thanks a lot for your words about my English. I appreciate that. Nhia Vu, I agree. If Houston wins, everything is good. It doesn't matter how they win. I've said that a number of times. If the team wins, Jeremy's cool. Doesn't matter if he played well or not. But if the team loses, then you have issues. That's when you get into, well, who did this and he didn't do that. So the Brooklyn game was cool because they won. So, Jeremy was good, even if he didn't have his best game ever. So I completely agree with what you said. MrBorisuri. I'm sure that Jeremy will learn a lot from the last 2 games. Thanks a lot for your nice words. And look, Jeremy is a smart guy. Jeremy is a guy that's going to learn. And we've said this before. He's learned a lot already this year. So I would expect him to integrate those 2 games, the Nets game and the game against the Wizards. So, I mean, it's, as I've said, you learn the most when you fail, because that's when you have to change things. That's when you tend to learn more stuff. When you succeed, you don't have to change anything, so you don't have to learn anything. So I am sure he will learn from the Brooklyn game because he struggled. Ana 41 from Taiwan. I agree, Jeremy is a team leader. And as Joyce Ward pointed out with the quote from an ESPN New York article, James Harden just said that. And that's right. He is a team leader. Jeremy is. And you can see it. And he should be. Again, as a point guard, you should be that. And this is a young team. So it's not like Jeremy's the oldest guy or anything. He's not. Like Carlos Delfino is. But because he's a point guard, because he's a starter, he should be a leader. And he is. And it's good to see that he's doing that. And by the way, it is now 8:54 p.m. on Monday, February 24th, here in the eastern part of the United States, which means it is 9:54 a.m. early on Tuesday, February 26th in Taipei, Taiwan. Jack 71-3100, you're right. Rockets just need to worry about their own schedule and take care of their own business. If they do that, they're in. And that's it. I said, you don't have to worry about everything else. Just handle your own business, get your own wins. And what you said is true. It is all about Red Nation. King Tai Tai, look, I'm glad you're addicted to these videos. There's a lot of other worse things you could be addicted to than these videos. So I guess that's not a bad thing overall. As you said, it was definitely a great win against Brooklyn. That was an important win, and Houston got it. They found a way to get it done there in the end, and that was good to see. Saboteur 97, I think the Nets are going to be fine. They do need to get Joe Johnson back as soon as they can, and certainly they need a healthy Darren Williams, who's having ankle problems right now and receiving anti-inflammatory injections to try to help with the ankles. Huynherful, yeah, Jeremy does need to be more consistent, as we've talked about. However, it does seem as though he was sick in the Brooklyn game. So, and in the game against the Wizards as well. So we kind of give him a break. Can't really judge him too harsh or too much if he was sick. Joyce Ward, great analysis on Brooklyn working to take away Jeremy's pick and roll after halftime. I actually didn't pick up on that while I was watching. So appreciate that you pointed that out, and also appreciate that you put the information down about the James Harden quote about Jeremy. James is right. Jeremy is talented, and Jeremy is a leader. And you're right. I mean, Jeremy was also helping the teammates realize, don't get technical fouls or it's going to cost you some real money. And that's a lot of McChickens and whatever else he was pointing out. That's true. That's a lot of them. And if you're a young guy not making a big salary, you don't want to spend that money that you don't have to spend. drivenbyu from Hong Kong, great to have you comment. Appreciate that you commented. And thanks a lot for watching. You're right. Jeremy's passes have been pretty sweet lately. And they really have been. And he's getting better and better at it. And as I mentioned before, he's focusing more on being a point guard than being a shooting guard. And it's working. It's, his assists are up. His points are down a little bit, but that's okay. He doesn't have to score a lot on this team. And certainly part of being a point guard is passing the ball. And the passes are getting better and better. And it's because his confidence is up and he's learning his teammates more. So he knows when guys are going to be in certain places and where they want the ball. And so then when you know those things, you can pass better because you don't have to worry about that. And it's great to see. What I think Jeremy should focus on right now is be consistent, as we've talked about. Young players are usually up and down. And as I mentioned in another recent video, continue to work on your shots around the rim. Layups, both hands, floaters, runners. He needs to keep working at that because it's tougher for him to get clean, open shots against quality NBA shot blockers and defensive teams. So that's what I would work on if I were him right now. And he is working on it. I mean, he's clearly working at it. So I just keep working at that. Yeah, I definitely agree that Kevin McHale has plenty to learn as a coach. He's an okay coach. He's a solid coach. There's things I like about him. I like that he's tough. But he has plenty to learn, and just as the players do. So hopefully that will continue to progress as well, and I'm sure it will. There's no reason to think that he won't become a better coach. H. Quatran from Australia. Jeremy is a good defender. There's no doubt about it. He is a good defender. We've seen it again and again. Now, there are guys that give him trouble, and those are usually the little guys that are quick. Jose Barea, Ty Lawson, these type of guys. But if you get someone around his size or bigger, he's a very good defender. Really good. And you're right, Jeremy is very competitive, extremely competitive beneath the little quiet exterior. There's no question about it. And that's why he's done as well as he's done. That's why he's gotten this far. And that's good. That's what we like to see. mbdubahah, I think that a finished version of Jeremy Lin, a complete player version of Jeremy Lin, will be some type of combination of Nash and Parker. He's probably not going to be as good of a shooter as Nash because Nash is an incredible shooter and always has been. And he's not going to be as fast as Tony Parker. But I think in a lot of ways he will be similar to both of those guys. I mean, he already does some things like Nash. He's pretty good at running into the lane, keeping his dribble alive, and finding guys. He will look for a shot when it's there. And he's a lot like Parker with the speed and the scoring ability. So I think that's what he's going to end up looking like when he gets his full game together. And it's coming. But it'll take a couple years. I mean, it's going to take a couple years. It took Parker time. It took Nash time. And the same will be true for Jeremy. But like I said, I'm glad he's working an offense that makes him develop skills that he didn't have before, because that's going to help him to become a complete player quicker. Sumiamchi, look, you're right. The bench has been great in both the Nets and the Wizards game. And the bench is about to get even better, which is a sweet because of the new guys from Sacramento. Now, again, hopefully Greg Smith won't be out too long because then there'll be a hole there. Although this the D-League guy they're signing, we'll see what he can do. But Greg Smith is pretty good. He's pretty good. So hopefully he won't be out for too long. omgbygollywow, you asked about Royce White. Royce is a big, skilled power forward. He has real talent. I haven't watched him a whole bunch, but I know that his ability is pretty highly regarded. However, the off-court issues and maybe some of the attitude issues might hold him back. We've seen some of that this year. Hopefully things will continue to progress for him and with his relationship with the team and the team's relationship with him, meaning the management and stuff. We'll see. We'll see what happens and how quickly it happens. H. Quatran, Josh Smith could clutter up the power forward position. That is true. But if you get him and Dwight Howard, that is so much talent, it almost wouldn't matter. I mean, if they get those guys, they're going to trade away some other guys. And I'm sure a number of them would be power forwards. So it would work out okay. I mean, those two guys, they're friends, and they can play. And they can play the style Houston wants to play. Up and down, athletic, run and gun. So I think they'd work out all right. Malorkayel, yes, I have heard rumors that baby Jesus has cried upon reading certain posts on Clutch Fans. That was a good joke by you. That made me laugh. I'm joking, of course. I have not actually heard that baby Jesus has cried reading Clutch Fans, but I mentioned something in that video about just getting mad at Clutch Fan stuff. And look, I like Clutch Fans. As I've said before, it's great. And Clutch, his real name is Dave, does a great job. There are a lot of kooky fans over there, in my opinion. There are definitely some Lin haters over there. There are some crazy Lin fans over there too. People that's like, Jeremy can't do anything wrong. So you get those people clash a lot on the post. So it's funny, and it is conceivable that back and forth could make baby Jesus cry if baby Jesus read Clutch Fans. So who knows? Iron Dick, thanks for the nice words. And look, man, I love doing the game vids and the commentary vids, both of them. They're both fun and just great. I said it's great talking J-Lin and interacting with you guys. Gwizzlez, I'm glad you enjoyed the analysis, and you're right. The bench came through big time against the Nets, which was critical. Third rail, I do think other players around the league are gaining respect for Jeremy as a basketball player, not just as a cash cow that they can get close to, but as a player. Look, I mean, you saw what Kobe said last year. Someone asked him after Jeremy scored 38 against the Lakers, and they're like, well, what would you tell him? I don't tell him anything. He just scored 38 points against us. Correct. We're past the fluke point with Jeremy. I think more players are starting to understand Jeremy's for real. Now, again, he's not, he's not Kyrie Irving in terms of one-on-one ability, dribbling, but he's a smart player. He's a competitive player, and again, he's tougher to go against than guys thought he was. And I think more and more, as I mentioned, I usually will say, like when the Rockets play a different team for the first time, we've gone through almost everybody now. Maybe there's like 2 teams left. Phoenix is one of them. Houston hasn't played Phoenix yet this year. Phoenix and I don't know. There might be like one other team. Orlando, who Houston's going to play soon. I think like 2 games from now. Everybody knows about Jeremy now, or just about everybody does. And he's still here. You know what I mean? He hasn't gone anywhere. And people thought he was a fraud and he'd be gone and out and benched. Nope. So, I do believe people are gaining more respect for him in terms of players around the league. And they should be. And they are. I can see that. BeautyHealthZoneBlog. You said that you, I don't know, you're getting our videos, but you're not subscribed, and you want to know how to unsubscribe. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know why you're getting our videos if you're not subscribed to us. I don't know how YouTube does that. I respect that you want to control what you're watching, and I'm sorry that we don't suit your viewing needs. But best of luck, and hopefully you won't keep getting our videos if you don't want to watch them. Diana from Hong Kong. Thanks for the nice words about myself and Joyce Ward. Yep, Jeremy was apparently sick on February 22nd in that game against Brooklyn. You asked about young players being inconsistent or not playing steadily. Young players are inconsistent for a couple of different reasons. One, they're still learning skills, meaning they're still perfecting the basic skills. Dribbling, shooting, passing, setting picks, coming off of picks properly, learning how to run a specific offense at a professional level rather than a college level. What happens is, guys, there's a big difference between playing in college or high school and playing in the pros. It's more complicated. You play more often. In college in the United States, you will play maybe 30, 35 games a year. In the pros, you play 82 games in a year. So your body has to adjust to that. Your mind has to adjust to that. Now you have money. In college, you didn't really have money. So you've got to balance your money. Now you can go out and buy some things and go have fun. You have to get used to that and still be disciplined and make sure you're at the games and you're at practice, etc. And people are going to try to get close to you now because you have money. So you have to learn how to handle that and deal with that. And the biggest thing, or probably the biggest thing, is the level of competition is higher. And what that means is, in a practical sense, the things that you were able to do in college, plays that you could make, you can't do necessarily in the pros because the other guys are bigger and they're faster and they're stronger. Like Jeremy. Jeremy was able to drive to the basket much easier in college than he is as a pro. Why? Because his defender is quicker. The second defender, the center, the shot blocker, he's bigger. He's better. He jumps higher. That takes a lot of adjustment. And, the guy that plays for... there's a lot of guys that go through this. Everybody goes through it, actually. But for the for the Sacramento Kings, Jimmer Fredette. Jimmer was the player of the year recently in college. He played at BYU. Great jump shooter. And as a college player, he was a good dribbler and he was pretty athletic. Now at the professional level, it's much more difficult. He doesn't dribble so great relative to people at the professional level. The defenders are much tougher. It's harder. And Jeremy's going through that too. But even if he had incredible, totally off the charts athleticism, he'd still go through it. He'd still go through an adjustment period. It's just a different game, and it's at a higher level. And it takes a while to get used to it. What is often said is when guys start to adjust to the professional game in any sport or anything, if you do a new job or something like this, they say that the game slows down. And it takes a while for the game to slow down for guys so that they can play their game and they're not overwhelmed by the talent level and everything else. And Jeremy's still learning that. And it's very expected that would be the case, because this is the first year Jeremy has started the entire year. And he's played more games than a rookie now, but as a starter, he's a rookie. And he's learning a lot of things. And it's a new offense, and he's focusing more on point guard skills than shooting guard skills, meaning he's scoring less. And he's playing with another player who is used to having the ball in his hands the same way that Jeremy is. So there's a whole bunch of things for him that are new and that are different. It's going to take time. Now, look, Jeremy's improving rapidly. I mean, very quickly. But it's going to take him a couple years to really, really hit his stride as a player. I believe that. As I said, that's okay. It's happened basically for everybody. The only guy I can think of that came in the league, the only guys I can think of that came in the league and were really pretty much ready to go: LeBron James, Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird. It just doesn't happen that often. And, for Magic and for Larry Bird, they came from big-time college programs, or programs that were big when they were there anyway. And Jerry came from Harvard. It's the Ivy League. I mean, the competition level's not even close to what it's like at the premier athletic colleges in the United States. So it's a whole different thing. And it's going to take him time. But he's doing great. As I've said before, I'm so impressed with how quickly he's improving. It's amazing. It just shows you how much talent he really does have. So, look, that's a great question. Thanks for that. Third rail, I agree with you what you said about Jeremy's appeal. He is like a normal guy, and that's why people can relate to him. Look, I mean, for people that went to Ivy League schools or whatever, you don't see guys make it to the NBA. So he automatically has appeal with that group of people. And he is an average, he's like 6'1", 6'2". He's not 7 foot tall. I believe I mentioned this before. The reason why people like Kobe or Michael Jordan are more appealing than Shaq or other centers is because they're more similar to average sized people. And that's why people can relate to them, and that's why they have more appeal. Well, Jeremy's even more like that. And so you're right. That is why people feel like they can identify with Jeremy. That's one of the reasons. And that's it. He's got just amazing amount of appeal to people. mbdubahah, you can ask me any question you want about basketball. That's awesome, dude. I love it. Good job. I think it's a great question about Jeremy and who is a perfect coach for him. That's a tough one. There's a lot of great coaches, and I'm sure any number of them would do well with Jeremy. The first person I would pick would be Greg Popovich of the Spurs. First of all, he's the best coach in the NBA right now. I don't think there's any question about that or anybody that would seriously argue that. Secondly, he's a tough coach, as we saw with Tony Parker. He's been very hard on Tony Parker, but it's worked. And that's how I look at McHale with Jeremy. Being tough on a player isn't always bad if the player can handle it. Some players can't handle it. Well, doesn't look like Kyle Lowry could handle it last year, and that's why he's no longer with the Rockets. But some players can handle it, and if they can handle it, then usually they'll become better players. Also, Popovich has showed that he can take a raw talent like Tony Parker and make him into an excellent, terrific point guard. And that's where Jeremy's at. And so I'm confident Greg Popovich and his staff could do the same thing with Jeremy. Finally, Greg Popovich has shown that he will adjust his system to the talent on the team. And we know some coaches won't do that. Mike D'Antoni's been accused of not doing that. We know Kevin McHale, hey, why are you playing this system? Why don't you play more pick and roll? Greg Popovich will play whatever is the best system for his team. Look, the Spurs used to be a grinded out, boring team. Now they run up and down the court. Why? Because they have the personnel to do it. And so that's what they're doing. So if I had to pick one person for Jeremy to play for, I would say Greg Popovich. The second person I would pick is former head coach Jerry Sloan of the Utah Jazz. And I would pick him because he took John Stockton and helped make him into what John Stockton became. And look, John Stockton was always going to be good, but Jerry Sloan was a guard in the NBA. He was a tough coach, and I think Jeremy would like to play for him and do well with him. Lenny Phuquoc from Vietnam. The reason why coaches switch guys in and out of the lineup at the end of the game is they want something specific on offense or defense. And what that means is, how can I say this? McHale put in Patrick Beverley at the end of the Brooklyn game because there were fewer than 24 seconds left in the game, which means there was only one possession left, a 24-second shot clock. And so it was off. And so this was the last possession of the game, essentially, or before overtime, whatever. So he wanted Patrick Beverley to play defense against Darren Williams, I believe it was. And that's why Jeremy came out. And so you'll see this. Coaches will do this. And then they'll switch it back on offense. Like maybe they take a guy out and want to play defense, and then they want a three-point shot on the other end, so they'll put in a three-point shooter guy. So that's what the strategy is, and when you see that type of thing happen. Jose, and third rail, you guys were saying that you didn't see the Game 57 or Game 58 video when I put it up. Sometimes YouTube has little like hiccups, it'll just kind of tweak for a little bit. So that's probably what happened with the Game 58 video not showing up on the channel immediately. I will usually come in and announce the video that it's going to go up or that it's up. So if you don't see a new video on the channel, then just go to the last J-Lin video in the comments and see if I said anything. And then so if I say something, usually I'll make it a response to that last Lin video. So if you go, right underneath the old video, it should be a response to that. And if not, like you said, you can just go look it up or whatever. Look up game, whatever, the new Game 59 or whatever. Hopefully that'll take care of everything. Okay, moving on to the Game 58 comments. This is the game against the Washington Wizards, the last game which Houston lost. Sumi Amchi, you're right. I've been relatively easy on McHale, and I admit that. However, when I saw the thing about McHale saying that supposedly Jeremy wanted to have 29 points and 9 turnovers, then I got kind of upset because it seemed to be implying that Jeremy was selfish, which he absolutely isn't. However, then I saw that the comment came from the New York Daily News. Now, look, if you see anything said about Jeremy in the New York papers, except for the New York Times, maybe not the New York Times, but if you see something about Jeremy from the New York Daily News or the New York Post, don't listen to it. Don't listen to it, and especially if it's something bad, because those papers, in my opinion, they're still mad that Jeremy left, and they're still trying to blame him because especially the Knicks aren't doing that great anymore. So they want to go and pile on Jeremy. No. Then I found out later and this came from, I believe it's Jonathan Feinman from Rockets.com. He said on his Twitter, look, that quote that McHale said was taken in. McHale was praising Jeremy like crazy. This was like before the Nets game or something. And they took that quote out of all of that. That's what's known in English as taking a quote out of context. I'll give you an example, okay? Say that I said the phrase, LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan at gardening, right? Just for example. So if you want to make a diss quote, then you take the beginning of that and say LeBron is better than Jordan. LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan. Did you hear what he said? And you totally take out the rest of the context. So it seems like I'm dissing Michael Jordan, but I'm not. Unless dissing about gardening. That's how it's done. If you're in the media business and you want to say inflammatory things or whatever, that's how you do it. You take stuff out of context. Now, did McHale said that? He did. But he said it in the midst of praising Jeremy. He was like saying something like, Jeremy's been so great. And I can't remember the exact context, but I looked at it and I was like, yeah, this is stupid. Which is, once I knew it was a New York paper that did it, I knew it was bogus. So it was nothing. Don't even think about it. Don't even worry about it. It's blown up and it's silly. Okay. Now I mentioned that it was said after the Wizards game that J-Lin has been sick, either with a bad cold or the flu. Now, I believe Joyce Ward was the first person to point this out in the comment section, I think, in the Oklahoma City game. And it makes sense. Jeremy looked real sick in the Wizards game. And this is probably why he didn't play well against the Wizards or against the Nets. So hopefully he can rest up and feel good for the Milwaukee game coming up this Wednesday. If he's got the flu, it might take longer than that. I don't know if it's a cold or a flu. I don't think he knows. But he needs to get his full strength back. One of the problems when you play when you're sick is that it's easier to get hurt because your body's not up to speed. So you have to be careful about it. It's good to play. It's okay to play when you're sick as long as everything's okay. But you can't get too run down because that's when guys get hurt because their body's not really ready for it or they do something they wouldn't normally do. Okay, third rail. Look, we're just going to stick with the CNM logo that we have right now. I appreciate you for asking. Any changes to the logo, I got to run through John. And he's just busy right now, real busy. So just wait on that for now. But we'll see. Look, we look at everything and, we'll check it out. jjrawstar, I agree. I think Thomas Robinson can make a big difference for this team. And I would love to get Dwight Howard, even with all his issues. He can play. I mean, that's the easiest way to say it. And I've said this before. I think Dwight Howard would do well in Houston. I think he would do well in this city as compared to some of the other cities. Sumiamchi, Howard does have a bit of a checkered past. There's some question marks there. But again, I do think he would do well in Houston. Gwizzlez, the Wizards game was extremely frustrating, but you're right. Demo, Donatas Motiejunas, did play really well. I mean, he's playing great recently, so hopefully that can continue. QQ974, man, I can't wait for the Milwaukee game. Harlan versus Monte and Jennings is going to be great. And hopefully Jeremy will be all rested up, as you pointed out. The Babyface 0529 from Taiwan. Yeah, J-Lin has been sick, as you pointed out, and hopefully he will feel better and well enough to play in the Milwaukee game. uztoobz, I think going back to watch the highlights of the Oklahoma City game was a great idea, particularly after the wreck of the Washington Wizards game. APC Guillaume, yeah, J-Lin does need to be more consistent, but again, if he was sick, we can't really judge him too much based on these last two games. Kwok Wai Lai from Hong Kong, I agree, Jeremy's not really a one-on-one player. He's a 5-on-5 player, and that's cool. I mean, LeBron's like that, and LeBron's, amazing. And thankfully, the NBA is 5-on-5 and not 1-on-1. You made a great point about how important Jeremy is to the rest of the team, and you saw it got a lot of thumbs up. When he's not in, the offense doesn't run as well. We saw that in the game, but he fouled out. I can't remember who they were playing now. When he fouled out of the game, the offense looked awful. And it didn't look really good when he wasn't in the game against the Wizards either. So, I love James Harden, and James Harden has the ability to play point guard in spots, but he's not as good at that as Jeremy is. And as I said, Jeremy's not as good of a shooting guard as Harden is, so that's why you need both of them. jkwhitedog from Canada, yep, Kwok got it absolutely right. Jeremy is critical for this team. Delta Boy 04, no question about it, circumstances did get the better of Houston in the Washington game. Jeremy was sick, and the new guys from Sacramento weren't able to play. And it was just was just enough for Houston to lose. But hey, on to the Milwaukee game. Night Surfer 1, I agree with you about Joyce Ward. She gets all the good information, and we certainly appreciate that. So thanks, Joyce. Joyce, thanks for the information on Jeremy being sick. And yeah, he definitely looked sick against the Washington Wizards. Kwok Wai Lai, team chemistry is underrated. There's no doubt about that. It's not just about talent. Just ask the Lakers. When Houston won their 2 championships in the 1990s, it was all about chemistry. They had amazing chemistry. I remember watching those teams. They had good talent, certainly with Hakeem, but the rest of the team talent wasn't that great. But the chemistry was amazing. And if you have great chemistry, you can win. Sumiamchi, you're right. Demo is starting to find his groove. And hopefully we'll get more and more and more of that in the future. lennyphuquoc from Vietnam, yep. Well, we're moving on to the Milwaukee game. And that's an important game. Particularly, again, with the Lakers playing well, Houston needs to win that game. And let's look forward to that. Dai Sun from Australia. I don't have a G+ account. John does. And I know that you're eager for more interactivity. I know you've asked about like Google Hangout and stuff. I can't do that right now. I just don't have the ability to do it or the time to do it. But I will look at doing more of that in the future. And I will definitely answer everybody's comments in these comment videos. It is something that I'm open to it. I just can't do it right now. I don't have, like I said, I don't have a video camera for hangouts and different stuff, but I'll keep working at it. Again, John and I are always looking at different stuff, and we will continue to improve and continue to work on that aspect of things. So hang in there. Yeah, I would rather face the Spurs than the Thunder. I think that's true for Houston, although the Thunder have looked a little bit weak lately. So, yeah, I'd probably still rather face the Spurs, but I'm not sure. We'll have to see what happens with Oklahoma City and how they finish up this regular season. William Thomas Hill in Japan, I agree. If Jeremy's sick, let him rest. He needs to be full power as fast as possible. donkeyenml, Jeremy's the kind of person who's not going to say if he's sick or hurt. We've seen this with him before, last year and this year. He's just one of those guys that he doesn't like to say that. He doesn't really like to say it. Although he did say he was sick, he's not going to tell you how sick he is. He's just that's just not his mentality. Iceburg from Canada. Hey, man, look, that's why I'm here. I'm here to lift up people when Houston loses or Jeremy does poorly, to try to keep the perspective. Look, earlier in this year, Jeremy was struggling, and I told people the knee's still bothering him, but that Linsanity 2.0 was coming soon. And that was very shortly before the 38-point game against the Spurs. So that's a big part of what I try to do here, is try to keep the larger perspective and give insights that maybe other people don't see, especially when people are like, oh, he's not doing well. You got to try to keep an even keel, even though I was as mad as anybody after the Wizards game. So, it happens. I mean, we're all going to feel a little bit upset or whatever, or sad whenever they don't do well. But everything overall is going great for the team. So go Rockets. MrBorisuri, it is annoying to lose to a team with a bad record. There's no doubt about it. That's one of the things that was so frustrating in the Washington game. Washington does have the reputation as a giant killer, though, this year. They've beaten a lot of good teams at home, and they are a better team than what the record is because they've had a lot of injuries, and now most of the guys are back, and they have talent. Ip Diana from Hong Kong, I think that the Wizards game upset everybody. All Houston fans. That was just, it was frustrating. I do think that Jeremy is a big part of the soul of the team. I totally agree with that. I think everybody on the team would say that. And that's a good observation. So Jeremy's going to be cool, and he will bounce back soon. I'm sure of that. Night Surfer, I love the IHOP joke. That was great. Believe me, I wasn't feeling like making the video after the Washington game. Like I said, I'm glad I had an hour on the phone before I made the video. That cooled me off a little bit more. So that's good. Mingie Cao from Canada, what you said is right. If you get a blowout victory, then the referees can't do anything. And that's the way to do it. That's how you take care of it, so that the refs don't have any important factor into how the game ends up. I agree with that. Jose, look, we'll see about Dwight Howard. I mean, I know what you're saying. He does have issues. I mean, he does. There's no question about it. John's just having a really busy month with some other stuff, and he'll be back, though, so stay tuned for that. And I've told him before that you like his videos, and I know that you do, so I've told him that, and he's aware of that, so he'll be back. Third rail, yeah, look, give Jeremy some chicken soup and whatever other cold and flu remedies there are so he can feel good. As I mentioned above, the New York Daily News quote from McHale is a joke, so don't even worry about that. It's just silly. Riza from Hong Kong, your English is great. We all understand what you're saying. Don't worry about small little grammar issues. Don't worry about that. That doesn't matter. It is a tough loss against the Washington Wizards. I wasn't happy with the refs either. And thanks a lot for the nice words. And on to the Milwaukee game. Enter the Arena US. Look, you guys are doing a great job. You don't need us. And I really hope you guys aren't Lin haters. But look, we do the Jeremy Lin videos because we like Jeremy Lin. So you guys, good luck. Keep up the good work. I believe I mentioned above the trade for Thomas Robinson and the rest of the SAC guys is completed. So those guys should be available for the game against Milwaukee, which will take place on Wednesday evening in the U.S., early Thursday morning in Asia. And I have not had a chance to do any timestamps, and I'm not going to try to do it right now. I mean, I'll do it when I can get to it, but I told you guys if I can't do something, I just won't do it. Right now, I can't do it, so I'll do it when I can do it. Okay, your comments below, thumbs up, thumbs down on this video. Give you the information, the video description, so you can go and look at the Game 58 video, which a lot of these comments are from. Also, you can go check out those posts I put on Clutch Fans and information so you can come and join the Conservative New Media Facebook group as well. I am Paulette Villarreal, the NBA expert. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative New Media. We strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel. I hope everybody is having a great night or a great day wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. We will talk to you guys soon. Again, the next game is in 2 days against the Milwaukee Bucks in Houston, Texas. Take care. Talk to you soon.